Hello, and welcome to another session of Shine Like a North Star. Good to see everybody tonight, and it's an inspirational story today of inspiration and kind of creating that sense of belonging. If I look a little peaked, it's because I just came in from walking the dog, and it's April in Southern Illinois, which rarely gets snow, and it is snowing outside, sleeting actually to be more accurate. I'm all disheveled, and it's because the wind and the sleet was just smacking me down. The dog, of course, is happy and loved it out there. But that's the story of my evening. I hope wherever you are, you're warm. All right, so let's talk about a couple of things in light of these inspirational stories, right? And this really leads to this idea that healthy teams are in the same circle. And my challenge to you tonight is to think through about how you're supporting people in your circle. Sometimes it's little things and sometimes it's big things. So I'm reflective about this as we develop our rhythm out of COVID, with COVID. I know Canada's facing some really serious waves of COVID. Tonight, the George Floyd verdict was given to the police officer. I mean, there's just a lot of really big, heartfelt things happening in the world. And so it's nice to come together and think, how am I creating that sense of belonging with people around me? Which has me thinking about a time when I was a teenager, and we moved around a fair amount as a kid, less than other people that I know, but still as a teenager, it felt like a lot. And we spent 11 months in Toronto, Canada, and that was my grade 10 year, and it was a lonely year for me. You know, we weren't there long enough really to get rooted. We were in a neighborhood that didn't feel like a fit, and I had a teacher, Mrs. Hogaboon. And she, once a week, would sit down with me. We'd have a pop in the cafeteria, and she would just talk about nothing. And what's really cool about her and creating that sense of belonging, like I was worth being in her circle, is that summer she invited me out to her lake cabin to babysit the 4-year-old. I hardly did any babysitting for her that summer. It was really just a 2-week break away from my sadness as just a lonely, hormonal grade 10 kid. I think about her and creating that sense of belonging. And it makes me wonder, you know, who am I reaching out with now to kind of put them under my wing? So I had a really special experience tonight, and this is fresh off the press, so you're the first ones to hear it. Outside of my mom, I did FaceTime on the way home. But I'm wrapping up some work with a company, and they did a surprise farewell party for me today. I mean, I figured we'd have like cookies, and it was somebody else's birthday in the office, and maybe we do like a joint thing. I had no idea the extent of their planning. I'll tell you, I'm Canadian, and I'm a teetotaler. I mean, they had cups of tea. Let me tell you, Southern Illinois, lovely folks, very few, if any, drink tea. Cold tea, iced tea, but not hot tea. I mean, it was the most tender gesture. And they were wearing hats like a bunch of British queens. It was hilarious. And they had all these great sayings and posters up about how I contributed, but it was all with this like theme as I depart from this organization and move on. What a really powerful sense of belonging I felt. You know, I felt like they got me. And throughout the last long while, they've had a bunch of gestures to kind of show me that they get me. And so when we think of healthy teams, it really is everybody in the circle. And last week's Shine Like a North Star talked about love languages and how do you express value. And all of that really ties down to helping people know that they're in the circle. So when you think about your kids, your coworkers, the people that report directly to you, sometimes it's those little gestures that reinforce how we treat each other in our circle. And as a person in the circle, as someone enlightened to listen to this YouTube live, you have a responsibility now to take action to make sure that you're responding well to people affirming that they're in the circle. So maybe it's a note that you leave on somebody's desk. Maybe it's a gesture to buy lunch, not literally buy it, but even just go out and grab lunch from somewhere for someone. Today I ran out for lunch and I went around to everybody. It's rare that I actually eat lunch out. I typically pack a lunch. So I buzzed around, hey, I'm going to Culver's. Who wants anything, want anything? Nobody did. But that little gesture says, you belong with me and I belong with you, and I'm going to do an errand. Can I get you anything? Whew. So in that spin of the day-to-day stuff, we've talked about the spin before. I just want to capture these gestures, right? So in the spin of the day-to-day stuff, how do we slow down to really help people say, you're in my circle. You belong with me. Let's not spin away from each other. Let's spin together in the circle and kind of make sense of this and be our best together. Make sense? All right. So my challenge to you is that we slow down together to really give some thought to what does our circle look like? Who's in our circle with us? Who else can I bring in the circle? And extend that compassion, that empathy, that caring as a leader, as a friend, as a colleague. And it doesn't have to be anything deep and super interpersonal. It can just merely be, you're part of us and we're surviving this stuff together, whatever this is, right? So my name's Kerri. I'm the president of North Star Coaching. I'd love you to follow my channel. I would love to hear about how you're creating your own sense of belonging with the people that you serve and the people that you love. So add some comments on the YouTube and we will see you next Tuesday for Shine Like a North Star, where we don't always shine our brightest because the North Star doesn't always shine its brightest, but we shine our best all the time. See you.